Hello, and welcome to the podcast for Empathy and Imagination. My name is Aubrey Cloutier.
And I am Drew Clark. Welcome to the show. I'd like to acknowledge you for taking the time out of your day to listen to the podcast for Empathy and Imagination. We welcome you. We love you. We want you here. We want your feedback. We want to hear from you. Let us know. Also, if you enjoy this show and you want to consider contributing to it, go to Patreon/Empathy and Imagination, or go to YouTube and give us a thumbs up or a comment, or just keep listening. Thank you and welcome everybody to the show. We have a special guest today. Should we announce him?
Yes.
Okay, here
Timothy
he is. Goodspeed.
Timothy Goodspeed. Thanks
There
for
he
being
is,
on
folks.
the show.
Happy
Ladies
to
and
be
gentlemen.
here. Glad to join you on a podcast for Empathy and Imagination.
Yeah, thanks for being
cool.
here.
Thanks for being here.
Cool. Let's start with the check-in.
Check in.
Aubrey?
I'm doing great. My
Okay.
back. I pulled my back. Pulled my back.
Oh.
We just did a bike camping trip, and my bike fell over right when I got to your house. And I tried to pick it up, and my back went, no, you don't want to do that.
No.
Pack
So-
less.
So the whole trip I was suffering a
Mm.
little bit.
You did great.
But you destroyed it. How you
Destroyed
feeling?
Yeah.
Feeling a little tired.
Yeah.
Feeling that body tiredness that you get from doing a long trip.
Mhm.
Surprising.
Mhm.
But, mentally feeling good. Feeling
Yep.
like we did a good job.
Nice.
And, it was a good weekend. I did work Saturday morning. Then I went bike camping and came back, and now I'm doing a podcast. So that's pretty cool. Sounds like a pretty cool weekend to me.
Yeah. That's
So-
pretty ideal. So this is like an ideal weekend for you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Badass.
You know?
So
Getting there. There's a few things that
Right
would be
on.
awesome to have. but
Okay.
Yeah, that feels good. We played a show last week at
Where'd you
Bottom
play?
of the Hill.
Oh, Bottom of the Hill. Yeah.
You know that place?
San Francisco, California. Absolutely. I've
San
played
Francisco.
there.
That place is awesome.
Yeah. It is awesome.
The sound guy's great. The sound is just
Mm.
great. So
It's been a
that
while
was
since I
fun.
played there.
Just
It
in
was-
all of
Is
San
that the place where you
Francisco?
take the steps up to the stage? And there's a
no.
bar downstairs?
Nope.
What am I thinking of?
But there is like a back patio with like a big stairway.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Which band is this with?
Um,
One of your many.
90s indie rock band.
Very nice.
We were booked as the Overtones, but I'm not sure that we're going to stay with that name.
It's original music too. It's not covers.
Right, it's originals.
Very
And
nice.
we played last, and surprisingly, there were still people there.
Like how
and
many?
they seemed to enjoy it. Maybe 20.
Yeah.
Around 20.
20? Hey.
But,
That's pretty good.
clapping.
More than zero. Clapping.
It's nice to hear
clapping,
clapping after you
shouting,
play.
yelling.
That's always
Positive.
Cool.
Yeah. That's
How'd
pretty
that
good.
feel? Can you share how that felt?
It was great.
Yeah.
Feels great. I mean, there's there's little mess ups and stuff, but usually the audience doesn't know or care.
Yeah.
Right.
They'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Like you're on stage. They don't want to be on stage.
Yeah. I love being on stage.
Yeah.
So,
You can mess up. They'll give you some room.
yeah, it was fun dancing around and, doing some backing vocals, and we got paid, which is
Shoot.
Ooh,
like,
wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
For me, that's amazing. I don't know. I'm
So one of
surprised
those-
every time.
Wow, money, huh?
No matter what it is, $20 or whatever. So that's cool because some of that, that's all going towards studio rent, which is nice.
Mm.
So it kind of pays for itself. But
Is it one of those shows where you try to sell tickets, and the more tickets you sell, or was it like a legit gig where they wanted you to be there?
it was a legit gig, but
Wow, well
it
said.
was like percentage of the ticket sales.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was you did pay. People paid to get in.
Yeah,
Cool. Sometimes
And it
they'll
was
give you
kinda
part of
pricey.
the bar, which is cool.
yeah, it was
Mm.
kind of pricey, but
How many bands?
just 3. They're all good too, all kind of different
Mm.
things going on. One band had a bass ukulele,
Whoa.
That's nice to have.
and like
Bass
it was great
ukulele.
marketing because everyone just noticed that and would talk about it.
Mm.
Everyone in the audience like, wow, look at that guy. What is that? Bass ukulele
It helps to
looked
have a unique
awkward.
instrument.
to play.
Mm.
like this.
Was he all crunched up? Like
He's all crunched up and had sort of a farty sound, you know?
yeah, like
'cause
bam, bam, bam. I imagine
he
that.
had like
yeah.
bigger strings on it, thicker gauge strings on it too, so it was like really farty.
It doesn't matter
It's cool, though.
how it sounds. It just has to be different.
Has to be
People are
farty.
like, "Ooh."
Right.
Has to be
Right.
has to be farty, huh? Well, I
Yeah.
don't know. I
Um,
can help you guys out with that.
So yeah,
I
that
thinking
was
about it.
that's my check-in. Feeling good.
Okay.
Feeling good.
Feeling good, dude. Glad to hear it. Thanks for checking in. Appreciate it. Nice.
How about you?
I'll go next. Yeah, I went on that bicycle trip as well, and I'm feeling pretty tired. But it's such a good feeling. I love the feeling of like success. Like we did it, even though my legs cramped up and it was dark and cold, and we were pushing our bikes up these dirt cliffs. And I'm like, every step is pain, and I'm like, well, we're almost there though. And I just got to change my diet a little. I got to get some more white beans and squash and bananas in my life.
But
The potassium.
It wasn't happening like before. It's
It
only
hap-
the past
just
few trips, right?
The last two, it was basically Mount Diablo, which is not the hugest surprise.
Yeah, that's a big ouch.
Yeah, and then like this was some good climbing at the end after riding basically a few hours. So so that feels very much.
That actually sounds important. Is that your wife?
What?
Is that your wife?
Uh-huh.
Mm. The neighbors can't get out, and we need to move her car. Or someone to move the car. I can hop out really quick.
Can you do that while I do this?
Oh, yeah. I know where the keys are.
Okay, thanks, Tim. Wow.
You think we should start over?
No. Dude. It's like a phone call melts everything down. It's like $25 a month? What the fuck are you talking about? You should pay us to beta your shit. That's what I'm saying.
What's our status?
Camera one's doing this. There it is again. Yeah, okay. You should do that to the other two. That is a bunch of diarrhea. Yep. Yeah, super fast. Now we're all clear. It's going. Looks good too.
For bearing with us.
Hey, technical difficulties are part of our show. We like to thank Switcher for making this app. I'm glad it does exist, but it barely works at all.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Thank you.
like, I could never make something like this, but it basically doesn't work.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Sort of works.
It sort of works.
Doesn't work reliably.
Yeah. Well, here we are.
Here we are.
But
And
it costs like it works.
I think what we're going to do for you folks is we're just going to go ahead and start this over. So
Okay.
So Aubrey, can you rock us out?
Yeah. One moment, please.
Standing by.
Welcome to the podcast for Empathy and Imagination. My name is Aubrey Cloutier.
And I am Drew Clark. And our guest today
is
Timothy Goodspeed. He's a musician, my brother-in-law, a cyclist, a world traveler, a teacher, and he's here today to talk to us about life, empathy, and imagination. So we had some technical difficulties, so we're just going to go ahead and kick this thing off again. Aubrey, would you check in, please?
Check in, feeling good, played a show, good sound guy, worked out, feeling great.
Thank you.
So, no.
Good check-in.
Check-in, we did that bike trip, so
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little sparkly,
Yeah.
a little jazzy.
The post-ride glitters,
Yeah,
they're kind of high right now, aren't you?
a little bit. High on endorphins.
Mm-hmm. It makes us high. It's good high.
And my back is kind of fouled up from just lifting my bike. It's not even, not even a good story. Just trying to lift my bike.
It just
pulled
fell
my
over.
back. So
You were
Before we left.
yeah. So it was tough to sleep in the hammock with a pulled back muscle,
Yeah.
because like it would, if I relaxed too much, it would hurt, and you'd sort of twitch and wake up.
See, you were sawing out of both ends last night pretty
Yeah,
loudly,
yeah,
so you
yeah.
did get to sleep.
I did sleep a little bit.
I noticed that pretty quickly after you got in your hammock. There was some sawing happening,
Mm.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
alerting the animals to our presence.
Everyone's sawing.
So yeah. So how do you feel now?
A couple of woodmen.
Modest sawing.
We are woodsmen.
Feeling good. And what else? Oh, yeah. It was a great weekend.
Yeah.
Did some work Saturday morning. Bike trip overnight, camping. And then doing a podcast. Pretty cool weekend. Pretty ideal.
Frickin' cool.
Pretty close to the ideal. Maybe
Mm.
some paintball and sensory deprivation chamber would be cool, too.
Mix it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Played the show last week.
Mm-hmm.
My original band, The Overtones, tentatively named The
Yeah,
Overtones, played at Bottom of the Hill, which is a cool club. Great sound guy, great sound system. Played with two other bands. They were really cool. One guy had a bass ukulele, big fat old strings on the thing.
How was that?
Had a farty kind of sound, but it was
Naturally.
cool. It was unusual, so everyone was talking about it. And it was a weird. The first band, it was bass ukulele, and they had a fiddle player in the second band. So there were some unusual instruments that you don't always see.
Well, that's
It
fun.
was cool. It's fun.
It's pretty neat.
It's always nice to get paid, no matter how little.
Mm.
Always nice to get paid.
So it was
for
a
a gig.
positive cash experience for you, which isn't normal as a musician. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. You ever heard of that?
I figured musicians were just swimming in money all
Just
the
rich.
time.
Yeah. Rock stars, every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. That's my check-in. I'm feeling pretty good.
Cool. Thank you. You got the. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Well, I'll check in real quickly, even though some of you heard my check-in already. I went on that bike trip too, and I have that lovely afterglow feeling. It's like meditative, and I'm sore, and I feel like I did something awesome, even though my legs were cramping last night, pushing my bike up the super dusty hills in the dark, cold wind. I just knew we were close, and we were, and we finally got there and cracked open a beer and lit a fire, and it was like, and got in hammocks, the warm pad, and we're laying by the fire, and then all of a sudden the food started happening, and
Yeah.
it was all hot, and the beer was cold, and there was like chocolate,
Yeah.
and we were just like passed out. So it was
Pretty
like
good.
really good.
Sawing some wood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I brought my saw.
We were all a bit noisy in the shorts last night.
There was a lot of sawing and tooting.
Yeah. Definitely I'm guilty of, a third of that at least.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of audible tooting going on.
I
And
did
there was
notice that, especially
that-
given our dinner.
Well, we had a lot of
we had a lot of
beans,
beans with
you know.
chili. Nice. And cool. So you're feeling pretty
I feel
good. About
good.
that.
I feel like my lungs are sore. You know that feeling when you're like you've stretched your lungs, but it's in a good way?
Yeah.
I feel like I could run further now than I could before. And I think that's true about endurance sports. I think you do stretch your lungs in size, actually. So it feels good. I tried out for a band night before last.
Cool.
That was really cool. So that went really well, and it's like a metal
country band?
No, it's a metal. It's like a accessible metal. Yeah, it's like basically it's heavy riffs and mostly clean singing, and it's like you can listen. Anyone can listen to it, but it's still heavy. So it's kind of
like Mars Volta ish.
Yeah.
That's what that
think
struck me
of
as.
Tool and Incubus turned up the heavy department a little bit.
How was the experience of
Okay.
practicing with them for the first time?
Oh, I felt great. I felt like they thought I was awesome at the drums, and the kit I got to play was like extremely ideal. It was a very nice kit, very much for metal, and they were
Well, what does that
super
mean?
excited.
Two
Well,
bass pedals and a China.
a nice bell and a splash on top of each other, and then like a tight, high-pitched piccolo snare. And then like a nice high 10, and then a 12 tom, and then not a big old honker, which I don't normally get into for the
Floor
floor.
tom?
It was more like a 14, and it was rack mounted. Two nice crashes, a China, a good hi-hat, double bass. The pedals, I mean, I would use my pedals.
From that.
Yeah, because I have Access Direct Drive, which you just can't.
Does that
Can't really
did
beat
that
that.
come with the pedal?
I got those
Okay.
pedals out of a deal with someone
Yeah.
living on the boat.
But the TD50 doesn't come with pedals.
It doesn't even come with a hi-hat stand or a throne or a snare stand.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you pay $5,000.
And then you need to
can't
pay
play it.
Yeah, you can't play it.
Yeah.
You need to
That
buy
makes a
few
lot
more
of
things.
sense.
Totally. So that was really good, and they were immediately like, "Oh, when can you come back?" You know, and it was a good feeling. So I'm pretty sure
Nice.
I'm joining that band, and
What's the name?
I'll Arcane, and if we have time for two sounds goods, I'll play a song.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I'm starting another band here in Gradient Studios in this very room. It's going to be really technical death metal. And I'm pretty excited about that. Two
Nice.
7-string guitar players and myself. Lots of
right.
gravity blasts. Big old breakdowns. Lots of yelling. So that's going to be good. Very aggressive sound. Pretty much aggressive most of the time. There'll be dynamics, but it's going to be emphasis on like sweeps and technical, which I'm excited about.
Seems like you've been looking for.
I've been
something like
looking for that.
a long
I have
time.
been. Thanks for noticing, Tim. I
Yeah.
have been. So I feel good, and they were just texting me today. So let's just go with that and my check-in. Let's end it right there.
Cool. Thank you for the
Very
check-in.
nice.
Tim, can you check in with us? How you doing, man? How
Yeah,
you feeling?
I'm feeling really pretty good. I just finished school, and I'm in grad school as well as being a kindergarten teacher in the classroom full time.
Huh.
So I'm feeling great. I have nothing to do until next year.
Hell yeah! So you
I'm
can
just
make music and
totally-
go on podcasts right now.
I'm podcasting. I'm going on bike order warrior trips.
Nice.
I'm gonna be
Yes.
recording some music. I did reach out recently to actually yesterday to Craigslist to try to find my ideal musicians to help me extend my band a little bit, and I got some dead air.
Dead air so far.
That didn't feel as good. So far, complete dead air.
So that doesn't feel good.
But I could have improved the ad. It was sort of a quick ad that I put together.
Well, I hear that. So how does it feel to not get a response? What's the feeling you would describe to it?
Well, it doesn't. It just feels like it's challenging to find the musicians that I hope for. I want to
Yeah.
find some pretty unique instruments, and maybe that's just not in the cards for the moment.
Huh.
Just getting a core group of people to help extend my band a little bit, and then keep going from there might be the way to go for now.
Okay. You know, when I did my Craigslist ad, it took a few days.
Really?
Yeah, it took like 4 to 10 days before I really got any responses.
There's so many
Well,
ads.
perhaps there's hope.
Yeah, it's a bit early to tell. I
There's
would
so
say.
many ads that you got to sort of post every week or
Mhm.
4
Right.
days or something.
If you just
Right.
keep that ad up, you'll get. This guy's so good. We're actually going to play some of his music later today. You folks are in luck. Or you folks are in luck. All right.
Maybe I can even send you a track from what I've been working on very recently.
Oh.
If it should.
It's an idea. I got your
Snacks up
got your
top. We
website
got your
pulled up
website
here.
pulled up
Yeah.
right now.
It's
No,
newer than the website.
I want to finish your
Okay.
check-in, though, before we go into how cool you are.
Yes.
How else are you doing? How you feeling?
I'm let me think. What else?
Yeah,
I
what
feel
else?
great about the bike trip. I love
Yeah, how
Cool.
was that for you?
riding bikes. It's been a while since I've done touring, and it took me some time to kind of get used to the feeling of carrying weight again, because I've done some touring before in the past, and but no camping in the middle of the touring, so that was a new experience for me. I've done
Fuck
the camping,
yeah.
I've
Cool.
done the cycling, so putting them together was a really excellent combination.
You think you'll do it again?
I definitely think I will.
Hell yeah. Snaked him in.
So
Yep.
that felt really great, and definitely feeling the effects of riding. I sort of killed my buzz, though, to be perfectly honest, right at the end. Coming into Crockett,
Those
we
hills.
decided to take a different way around we'd never tried before. We ended up going right through a oil refinery.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that
That
Yeah, yeah.
was a little bit of a bum.
It was
place
Mordor.
was like death, yeah.
The sounds and smell, it's reeked.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was not
You know
healthy
it's
there.
just- yeah, it's just bad.
It is nicer coming into Crockett the other way.
Oh,
the
through
way we went.
Martinez? Oh,
Yeah.
my
For sure,
gosh.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that killed my buzz slightly, but you can't. A good bike ride is better than a lot of other things.
Better than sitting down.
Mm.
Like we're doing now.
Yeah. Well, we earned it.
We
We
earned
did
our
earn it.
sit-down time.
Yeah. Awesome.
Very exciting and adventurous.
So you're free right now. You
I'm
have a lot
gonna-
of time.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're free right now. You have a lot of time. You are feeling good about biking and music and stuff. Is that your check-in, or is there any more there?
I think that's it. I'm feeling good. It's sort of new for me this year. I'll just do a more general check-in. It's new being a grad student. I've never done that before, and it's weird going back to school. But it doesn't feel like school was before because it's very practical to what I'm doing. But it also has that feeling of like really making a decision about what I'm going to do. When I come out, I will be a full credentialed teacher, and if I don't do that, I get to think about how to pay for all my student loans that I
Right.
accumulated for.
So you're going to
becoming
be a
that-
teacher.
I'm going to be a teacher, and I love teaching.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
And I'm getting to experience it while I do it. So overall, I'm feeling very good about grad school. It feels like a lot because working full time and then doing 4 hours of class 2 nights a week is a lot for anyone, I think.
That's
but
a lot. Plus
How long
homework.
do you get done in
Most
grad school with
practical.
at that schedule?
2 years.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
2 more
8 hours
years.
a week-
I mean,
8
he's,
hours
he's
a
done
week.
more than 2 years already.
Right.
Oh, I see.
I mean, with undergrad and stuff, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I just mean the grad school part.
Yeah.
So it's
It's
8
just 2
hours a
years.
week, and how many hours of homework a week?
It really depends. I'm a master procrastinator, so
You got your master's in procrastination.
yeah, that's my
Procrastimasters.
previous
Was
Was
master's degree.
your undergrad or your
Yeah,
grad?
undergrad in procrastination. So I generally don't do anything on the weekends, and then spend a lot more time. But probably on a typical week, it's maybe been 4 hours of homework for the 2 classes,
Okay.
which I think I'm really skating by there.
So you're at 12 hours a week of school.
Right, plus 40 hours a week of class.
Okay. Plus, you're married.
Plus I'm married.
Plus you have a
this is true.
dog.
I have a dog. He needs love a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And
He
you're doing
walks
music.
every day. Doing music.
Well, yeah. He's reaching
I
out.
have to pick one thing that I want to do, and right now it's recording songs that I've already written, and I'm looking forward to playing shows with a band.
You mean one thing you have to do in terms of music?
One thing at a time.
Oh, I see.
I could do music as a full-time job with what I would like to and could be doing, but I just can't right now.
Yeah. Got it. Okay.
That's
Can
frustrating,
you teach
but-
music? Let's confuse these.
I've done it before. I've taught lessons, and it was lots of fun,
Yeah.
and it pays really, really well.
Yeah.
And you have to have enough students to make it worthwhile if that's what you're going to
Right,
do all the
right.
time.
Yeah.
Not doing that right now. I had the opportunity, turned it down because I don't. Just really honing in my life,
Hmm.
focusing on the important things.
Okay.
Sounds Goodspeed Studios.
Oh.
You could start your own school.
Yeah, this is true.
You could teach not just music, but also normal school. It could be like a music focused
It could be like a
school for
music-
the normies.
Yeah, it could be a Whitman Academy.
Ooh. I do leave a guitar at school now, so I
Yeah.
can play it as a fun activity with my kids.
It's fun.
Right
It's
on.
my friend Ryan taught preschool, and he did the same thing. He was also a master guitar
Mm.
player.
Awesome. It's a theme.
It is a theme.
So is that the check-in?
That's my check-in.
That's the check-in.
Thanks,
you.
Tim. All right.
What
So,
do we got for topics?
well, let's get into Tim, how cool Tim is a little
Let's
bit.
do it.
Let's bring up
Nice. More about
let's
me.
bring up some of his music. Let's we don't have to do just one song. Let's talk about the website, the Soapbox Salute.
Yes.
So why don't you
TheSoapboxSalute.com.
talk a little bit about that, Aubrey? You've got it pulled up there.
I got it pulled up here.
Yeah.
So I've been performing under my personal name for several years. I had a band in high school, and I produced a whole album, wrote all the songs, played everything except for played multiple guitar parts, and sang the lead vocals and the harmonies, some piano, various percussion instruments on certain tracks. And but I was performing under my name for a while, and I'm excited to have a band name again, or a group name. And the Soapbox Salute kind of stuck out to me. I'm writing a lot of songs now about social justice issues, and I have some music about stories about traveling and just learning about different cultures and just moments in time, almost poetic moments. Think about maybe in a mindfulness kind of way. And I also talk about spirituality. So talking about the things that I love the most, basically.
Right
that
on.
are most
Cool.
important to me.
There's a photo here we've got pulled up. There's a couple of handsome dudes behind you in this photo. I don't know
Yeah,
if
who
you've
are those
seen
The
that.
homepage photo.
Yeah. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, look at that.
Who are
Couple of
those
handsome
guys?
gents.
Huh.
They look rather familiar. And that photo was taken in this very room with these very gents.
That's right.
Oh yeah. Cool.
If you want to see that video that was recorded in this room, you can also go to my YouTube, which I don't know how to find. But if you go to my website,
Wow.
you can find it through there.
Right on.
It's probably youtube.com/Tim Dixon or something.
Yeah, it's such a serious face in this picture here.
Which one's that?
Serious music.
It's a Himalaya live acoustic. Should we do that one?
Sure.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, why don't you bust that one out?
Here it goes.
1, 2, 3, 4. High school.
Nice. Okay.
Cool.
Hell yeah, Tim. So let's talk about that a little bit. So, those who are just listening now, there's a music video, a few shots of Tim in the Himalayas, but mostly just him rocking out on acoustic guitar, and then his little doggy is behind him.
That's true. He
Yeah.
fell asleep behind me. He got bored with what I was doing.
Yeah.
Boring.
Boring. Okay. So tell me about that song. Like, talk about it a little bit.
So that song I wrote about a time when I was traveling I was actually doing a study abroad in Nepal. I wanted to choose the craziest possible place that I would never feel comfortable going to. And so I picked that one. And
Good parameters for a visit.
yeah. And it definitely pushed me. I spent about a month of the 2.5 months I was abroad trekking. So walking every day and then spending the night. The first trip was more camping with kind of an entourage of people assisting us, making us food and that sort of thing. And then the next one was in the Everest region and was the experience that I wrote that about sleeping at about 12,000 feet within view of Mount Everest and just looking at night and just these incredible, incredible stars. So that's the idea behind this song, and it's just about capturing a moment in time that was pretty stunning to me at the time, and just thinking about being outdoors at night, looking at these unbelievably high snow-capped peaks all around, and looking up at the stars. So it's about a moment in time, really.
Cool.
Cool.
That's awesome.
I looked into biking to Everest.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Apparently, there's no route available.
Huh.
No bike route to the
There,
top.
there is cycling. There's actually a race, but it's not in the Everest region. It's in the Annapurna region, which is another beautiful, super high altitude trek, and it's actually a big loop all the way around. So the highest point, and the last time I went back to Nepal, we did that.
Sounds like a
hiked
bike
What was
order
the highest,
warrior.
not-
highest point was what?
17,700 feet. It was
like what?
mighty thin up there.
Three and a
People
half-
are racing
3.5
on their bikes?
miles or something.
I can't imagine trying to do that. It was
Right,
about
that's like
100,
3 miles.
150 miles.
A little more over 3
Oh,
miles.
yeah.
Up.
Up, yeah.
You're breathing barely
150
anything
miles
up there.
total.
It's like
though.
Denver stacked on top of Denver. Twice.
It's really hard to take a little step. You do a lot of breathing to do one step.
Man.
But
How
it
about
was
electric
gorgeous.
bicycles?
That's what I'm talking about. That's how I would do it. We did have
Solar
the opportunity.
powered.
And
Once you
oxygen
get to the other
masks.
side,
Uh-huh.
you can also you can rent a bicycle and just ride it down the other side, which sounds really fun.
Just to do it downhill. That does
Just
sound-
downhill, yeah. But the bikes were not exactly the highest quality, and at the time it seemed a little expensive.
Okay. Right on.
Scam.
Yeah.
Scam. But where else are you going to get a bicycle at
Right, right.
12,000?
Are these mountain
There's
bikes
no-
or are they
there's
like
no Mike's
cruisers or
bikes.
something?
They're mountain bikes, but not,
They're mountain
know.
bikes.
There's no mountain. There's no
I'd be
Mike's bikes.
right. Yeah, that's not what's going on up there. I'd be a little nervous about a wheel falling off somewhere along the way. That
It's
was
kind of
my
like.
thought.
So you're being generous by saying not the best quality. They were pieces of shit.
That's what they
Rickety.
Okay.
Yeah, a bit rickety. I'm not saying the wheels
And you
would
can't
fall
breathe.
off.
And you can't breathe.
How are
Sounds
the
great.
brakes on these things? They'd have to
I
be
don't know.
reinforced with something.
It's Nepal. It is what it is.
It's
You just-
Nepal.
You should have seen
Just
the
try not
roads.
to
Sounds more
die.
fun to do it
There-
by
you can also
like
take
donkey.
A bus down. And we were looking at some of the turns. The bus is like doing some 45 degrees, wonking back and forth with people inside, and then railing around these corners.
And a
and there's,
cliff
like,
on one side.
cliff on one side, like cliff on the
Vertical
other side,
wall on the other.
vertical wall on the other side, and with like eroding corners. Looking at it, like that's gonna blow. That's gonna go at some
It's
point.
fun.
And that bus is just like trucking on through.
Why don't they just get a backhoe and widen those roads a little bit?
Yeah, actually, the
Maybe they
road is
don't have
new,
the
so it's impressive that it's there at all.
Resources.
You could just do it with a backhoe.
That can be your
Yeah.
next project.
Okay. Well, awesome. That's cool.
Front hoe.
Front hoe. So, Tim, you've been playing music a long time with a lot of different people in lots of places.
This is true.
Why do you play music?
Well, I think the simple answer is that I like it, and it came pretty easily to me, for the most part. I think we tend to do things that we're good at. We're not good at it, but that's not to say I think I've worked very hard to be where I am today.
You have to, yeah. It's a weird. It's like, how do you know if you're good at something unless you? Does the interest in doing it make you good, or are you already good and that's why you're interested?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Right?
I think it was exciting,
Yeah.
and it was coming quickly. So I went from being very basic. Within 6 months, I was like ready to start a band and play Beatles music and play and sing. And I put together a list of maybe like 50 songs or something that I could play. I spent a lot of time the first 6 months, and then I started taking lessons after that.
Did you start playing because your friends played, or someone you knew played?
My dad played. He had like a bunch of equipment. He played in a band. Played a lot of Beatles as well.
Okay.
And it's partially how I learned a lot of the music.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was already around a lot.
Right.
And then I found my own band, and it became even more exciting.
Cool.
What was your first band called?
My first band was called I joined one band that never really materialized, but it did have a keyboard and someone who sort of played the electronic drum set, and me. Oh, and two
Sounds like a band.
Sort of played.
and my sister who wanted to sing, and her friend who also wanted to sing. So we had 3 singers, a keyboard, a sort of drum set, and me.
What was it called?
Drum set.
It was called Minority Opinion.
Okay.
But my first real band was called Nocturnal Sunshine, and we played together for the second half of high school, about 2 years, and after that as well. But that was the most productive time we were together. And then I decided to go to school halfway across the country, and that helped to peter out that band.
Yeah.
And then I played in multiple bands in college as well.
Right on. Have you ever made money playing music?
Yes, actually, the most productive time, I was doing studio work for a friend in Boston who was in charge of this other podcast. It's called The Daily Lift, and it's been pretty. He's done pretty well with it, and but he wanted intro music, so we'd go into the studio and come up with as many songs as possible within an 8-hour period, like 8 hours in a recording studio. Try to do as many songs as possible, and it would usually be like 15 songs, but not with lyrics and vocals or anything. It was like oh, I've got this one melody that I've been working on, and so you just teach the other people who were in the session. I think I got paid like $150 a day to do that.
Nice.
I would do that full time if it was possible.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Huh.
And my songs are still used on the podcast, so it's pretty neat.
Cool. Are they like jingles or just little
Basically
instrumental?
jingles, like a minute 50. A lot of them are like a minute
That's
and
cool.
a half or
So
less.
it's like just guitar and drums?
Guitar, drums, bass, piano sometimes, maybe 2 guitars. A little band of talented musicians who could just.
And
go
they were
in
all
and
getting paid
wing it.
$150 a day?
Yeah,
Damn.
Wow.
worked out pretty well.
That's pretty good money.
Yeah,
That's good money for a musician.
Shit.
I've been paid to do session work before. It wasn't that much.
Yeah. I think the top guys make a few thousand a day,
Yeah.
which I guess is way less than what it used to be.
What?
It's not as lucrative as it once was being
Wow.
a studio
Well,
musician.
if you're talking about like the Motown was basically like one band, they probably worked it out pretty well.
yeah.
For them. So they were session musicians for like all the
Right.
bands.
Right.
But it basically just means they just had different singers. They just tried different singers out all the time.
And if you were in the band, you're doing pretty well, but you got to be one of like 10 people or something.
There's a pool
Mhm.
of musicians. that
Yeah,
get
it's like
tapped.
10 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine. I know Jimmy Page played on a lot of records in England before he joined any band really when he was pretty young.
Yeah.
He must have
John
done
Paul
pretty well
Jones
with that.
too.
Oh yeah. Including the Kinks' famous solo in "You Really Got Me."
Oh,
And
that's Jimmy.
Page.
Nice.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Huh. He should start a band.
I think he did.
Probably go over like the Led Zeppelin. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I've been doing with my music.
Okay. Well, that's awesome, Tim. You played in a few bands in college, and then where would you say what has been your most successful, widely seen, like most listens or views? Where do you think musically you've been the most seen?
Probably the Daily Lift, that podcast. To be perfectly honest, they probably have a couple thousand people every day who tune in. So that easily that.
Wow.
Still?
Probably.
Cool. So you're listening to thousands of people every day listen to you on guitar?
Yes. They don't know it's me, but it's me. Just
That's
like
cool.
Jimmy Page. Or
Give
no
any
one knew
credit?
it was
Can
me.
we hear any of that? Is that possible? Or
Yeah.
how about just the Daily Lift?
I think.
Well, I want to play one more thing by you before I go to my topic.
Sounds good.
Go
I
on.
just emailed you because I've got a brand new song I've been working on.
Is that what you
that
wanted to
I'm
play?
Very excited. I sent it in my email, in your email.
This is my Gmail? Okay.
And I've been recording it in my house, in all the free time that I have right now, in between homework and bike rides and hanging out with my wife and dog and teaching babies, little kindergartners.
Teaching babies.
Babies.
So, but this track,
Teaching babies.
Teaching babies.
Brought to you by
Tim.
Empathy and Imagination.
Okay, I see it here. Oh, there it is. Oh, this one.
oh yeah,
I really like this one. You guys,
This one-
you
this is
audience,
probably
are
the
in for
most-
a treat.
this is the most,
It's most
developed
done,
song
yeah.
I think I've ever made.
Uh-huh.
I've really
let's
kind
hear
of
it.
developed my sound.
Here it comes.
I played all the parts. Programmed drums.
You need it nice and loud.
Blue smoke rises morning, mountain shadow I see, golden glow on far off peaks glides down the valley, warms the frigid silence. Men appear on rooftops, smoking pipes that keep them coughing. First step off the plane, it's chilly. Long road ahead now. Soon it's breakfast served on silver, sitting in a field. Villagers stare with hands clasped, greeting the smile I'll come home.
Awesome.
Holy shit, Tim, that's
Well-
great.
What was the biggest challenge of that song?
I think there were two challenges for me. One of them was the bass line, which
No help here.
it just took a lot of trial and error to see what sounded good in the song, and I just
For bass.
yeah. And so just going back and forth and recording, and
I bet you could speak to that
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
minute.
What was your recording setup?
I just did the bass directly in. I have a
Just an interface, a little two
yeah,
channels.
just
like
a
a
little
little
two-channel
two-channel
interface
thing.
and just
box I
bass
got.
direct in, and then I used a simulator amp within Logic,
Oh, right.
kind of gave it a fuller sound.
Right.
But that was about it. It's not the greatest bass in the world either, so I'm trying to cover up the impurities.
Sound
And
good.
turn
to
it
me.
down so you can't hear the parts that are like not quite perfectly with it. But I think the other challenge was the guitar solo, which I'd never done a guitar solo in that song before. I've a long history of making recordings of that get maybe halfway finished and never completely finished for various reasons, including
Huh.
one that was going pretty well, but had all these pops and snaps and things that were happening over the system I was using. So I didn't feel like finishing it.
This
We're familiar
happens.
with some
Yeah.
pops and snaps and
Yeah,
hisses.
little
and-
technical issues.
Like same thing with the guitar solo. It had to fit just right. I wanted to include multiple different kinds of things, and so I
Yeah, it was a
did
sweet
about
solo.
60 takes where I just started from scratch, played it, and like, oh, I liked that part, and I pieced it together with different bits that I liked from just making it up on the spot, and then I came up with the finished version.
Wow, cool.
Nice. What would be your ideal instrumentation band in the band?
Ooh, that's the question.
Yeah, anyone out there in Oakland right now who's looking for a band to help make even better, I'd kind of like to have thought about it. I'd love to have like a horn section.
You want brass?
Yeah, and maybe that wouldn't be all the time, but it would be great to have. I'm not really concerned about having to pay 80 people for a show. I'm more concerned about I'm not trying to make money at it right now. I
Right.
just want to do it.
You
want to
make your
the
art.
Best of I want to make my art. That's it.
So would you do guitars live, just guitars and brass, or you want percussion and what else?
Yeah, ideally, I would like to have a percussionist, a drummer, maybe, and I would love to have like some other influences in the music. I love Indian music and Brazilian music. I love that kind of percussion, and I love having a beat in music. Something along those lines. I would love to have someone to play violin, perhaps, or mandolin, or another stringed instrument that's not guitar.
Some other
Um,
instrument ending in Lin.
Yes, something Lin.
Stand-up bass?
Lin.
I would love to have a stand-up bass and maybe someone who could play with a bow as well.
What about like
Ooh.
banjo
I like bass in
and shit?
general. I'd be into banjo.
Mandolin?
Banjolin.
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 Or a bass banjolin.
Or someone who plays all of those things. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But live. We're going back to live scenario. So
Oh,
you need,
yeah.
you need
That's
people
what
to
I'm
play
talking
about. The live
one
lineup.
instrument at a time,
Yeah.
basically.
If I could have a band of 5 or 6 people, that would be pretty neat.
So it's you on guitar and vocals.
Yes.
There's a trumpet player.
Yeah.
There's a violinist.
Mm-hmm.
There's a hand percussionist. And then a
Drummer.
drummer.
And a stand-up bassist.
No, that's
bass.
6 people. That's too many. You said 5.
Yeah, it's true.
Huh.
So something along those lines.
Okay.
I think music can be really. There's so many ways
Huh.
to do it, and there's so many bands of guitar and bass and drums, which
Yeah.
is there's nothing wrong with that at all. But you can do so many more things when you're bringing in different musical instruments that have can do complex melodies and counterpoint, and I'd be really excited about that.
Some xylophone.
Could be.
You know.
Harmonica.
Harmonica. I'm not as excited about harmonica.
Oregon.
Sorry to all harmonica players out there.
You need. It sounds like you need like a Greg Hawkes from the Cars, where he played keyboard, but he also did a bunch of percussion and kazoos and whistles. And
Definitely, and someone who can sing.
If you see
I'd
some
like
of the-
another multi-instrumentalist.
yeah, if
I can play
if you
several
watch,
instruments, but I can't play them all at the same time.
yeah, you can sing and play guitar at the same time.
That's the live
Yeah.
conundrum, you know? It's like, how do you get the people all together to do the thing on time and make it happen?
At
Yeah.
the
It's a
same
lot of
time-
work.
It is
At the
just
same time, you
coordinating,
can-
just getting everyone
right.
together at the same time, same places,
For free.
Fucking hard.
Every
Yeah.
week.
Right.
Yeah. At the same time, you can also just pick up an acoustic guitar and make it happen.
And I think it's a testament to how fun and engaging music is that people are doing that all day, every day,
Mm-hmm.
for free,
Yeah.
going and showing up somewhere just to play music
And if it was your
without
job,
any
Aubrey,
sort of promise of reward or anything. You know.
I put in my hours. I used to drive 40 minutes each way to my friend's house, spend 8 to 10 hours there playing music a good portion of the time, and then drive home late at night when I was in high school.
Yeah.
that's commitment.
And it was worth it every
right.
time.
That's how you get good.
Yeah, I used to commute 3 days a week in the Santa Cruz Mountains, an hour and a half each way, to practice 7 hours at a time in San Jose from
Huh.
Boulder Creek. I
Huh.
did that. We got crazy tight, and we never
to do it.
performed a show.
What was the 7-hour
Same.
practice like? Was it like was there lunch in the middle?
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's a break. And by the end, it's we're slowing down, but we would do all the
That's a
songs
lot.
and write, and it was because you had a 5-piece, death metal band, and it's a lot of shit going on.
Yeah.
You got to work it all
Crazy.
out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's bass solos, and I was playing guitar, and we had to work out all the doodly doos,
Yep. The diddly deeds.
Yeah.
All
Diddly
those
doos.
important ones.
Put your hours
Diddly
in.
doos.
I mean, Aubrey, what if your job, 5 days a week, for 3 hours a night, was you went to some place and played music?
That'd be great. Like a standing gig in Vegas.
Or even, like, you had,
Open
like,
up for like some kind of show.
say there
or-
were 5 bars or 5 clubs that you each went to one
Oh, I
night
see.
a week,
Right.
and
It'd
you
be great.
and you maybe tried out new songs at them and stuff like that.
I mean, that'd be awesome.
I have a
Yeah.
friend
Play
who
every
does that
night.
on the bass.
Really?
Yeah. I think he's got
Nice.
a little part-time job on the side, but he basically just plays music.
Where
Do you
is
play
he?
like in bands, cover shows?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
probably plays in like 15 different bands or something. And he plays at least 4 to 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
He's quite a good bass player.
Hmm.
He was in a Rod Stewart cover band for a while, and
Nice.
they flew him down to Florida to play a show
Wow.
several times.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool lifestyle, man.
Yeah.
I have to say.
He's got a little apartment in the suburbs of Boston and shares it with another musician.
Hmm.
And
This sounds like a dream.
Yeah.
I'm just mystified.
Playing Rod Stewart. I know.
yeah, I mean,
Obviously a dream.
but he shakes it up. There's a lot of different genres in there. And he also does play the upright bass on occasion. I don't think it's his forte, but
It's a good ancillary skill to have if you already play bass.
it's true. If you can fit a bass in your house.
Testament to how bass players are very wanted.
Oh
You've got it-
yeah.
you've got it made.
Seems like that.
I bet if you did a Craigslist ad, it would blow up. If you made links to what you were doing, and you're like, I'm looking for bands, I want to start a band, people would be like, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
You couldn't practice with all of them every week, though.
It's
Most
too
of
No,
it
many.
you
is
can only practice
jumping in and playing
7 times a
shows.
week or something, right?
Luckily, not many people are listening to the bass, so
That's right. That's right. So you can flub up and no one cares.
Well, most people edit it down, but in bands I've been in, we haven't done that. Like in the band I mentioned,
Yeah.
we rehearsed 3 days a week, 7 hours a day. The bass was as loud as the guitars.
Yeah.
But it's
just
rare.
like in Justice for All.
Yeah.
That album.
It's rare.
Great bass sound.
Mm-hmm.
No.
That's true.
But one of my systems is to play music every night, every day. So I'm practicing,
A nice
like,
system.
I guess, let's see, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, at least 3 times 4 times a week right now with 3 different bands. So that's cool. And if it'd be cool to play with those 7-string guys and see what happens. Maybe that could be something.
Maybe
Who knows?
it could.
So a couple of musicians here.
Yeah.
3 musicians.
But
We all played different things.
we
kind
do.
of.
Yeah. And we've played together a
We've
lot.
all
We've
played,
had a
we've
band.
all played other instruments too. I took drum
Mhm.
lessons more than I've taken bass lessons.
Oh,
How
wow.
about that?
I never took lessons on drums, but someone left a kit at my house, and I was like, all right. So I
Yeah.
played it every day for a year.
Wow.
Nice.
That'll get you good.
He just didn't. He forgot where he left his drum set.
He's like, I'm not really interested right now.
Wow.
Okay.
Remember,
I can swing with that.
Evan
Yeah.
had his drum kit before I had ever played the drums, set up at our house in Boulder Creek where we lived. And I was playing guitar in the band we had at the time, but his drums were there. And I basically was playing them almost every day, too.
Yeah.
I just started playing them all the time, and then it was like, yeah, I can do this. And then we
Yeah.
started a new band.
Did you
But
pick
I was
it
on the
because-
drums.
Did you pick it because you liked it better, or you were better at it?
I think I might have been naturally better at it. I'm like drums, yeah. Like I like playing guitar, and I'm pretty good. I mean, I can make metal,
I'll vouch for you.
yeah. And but drums is way easier and much more natural. And like I was like, oh, like I can really just do lots of stuff here.
And when you play guitar, it's more. There's a lot of rhythm.
I'm basically a rhythm guitarist at best, but really a drummer. I mean, my solos are pretty weird.
I started playing bass just by default because one of my friends played drums, one played guitar.
Well,
We're like,
see.
let's start a band because we skateboarded and we wanted to start a band to make skate music. So it was basically by default, and it took me a while to really fall in love with it. But eventually I did. Once I got a good bass, basically I fell in love with it.
That helps.
Yeah, because having really shitty Ovation bass with the action is like an inch.
It's no fun.
Man,
But it's funny how just happenstance really could have
And
been
it's-
guitar, and my brother picked up guitar,
but he plays bass now.
just sort of yeah. Then he sort of plays bass, but I always think of him as a guitar player.
And you guys have been in a band together, bands together?
Yeah. Several crappily named bands.
Oh,
What are some of those names? It's very-
Namesake was one.
Oof,
That was
that's bad.
That was early
rough.
on.
Wow.
State Law. That was the
That's
worst
funny.
one.
That's
That was
funny.
our hardcore, straight edge hardcore band. State Law.
I want to hear State Law.
Terrible. I have a flyer. I still have the flyer of our.
Is
Do you have
that
any
it?
recordings?
Oh my gosh, I could dig them up. I'd have to tap.
Maybe some other time.
tap
I'd
my-
like to hear some State Law.
tap my friend Hills and get him to send me some of that stuff. But it's there.
That's
It's
cool, man.
there.
That's cool.
And yeah, we were in another band called 3630.
Yeah, that's lame too.
Kind of
Yeah.
lame. I mean, it's a cool idea because
What kind of
it's
tunes?
it's the latitude line that separated north. It's the Mason-Dixon line. 36 degrees. 36:30. 36 degrees 30 minutes. That was kind of, I guess, heavy-ish.
So you were playing
Years ago.
You were
This
playing
is years
metal early on.
Oh yeah. Heavy. I wouldn't say metal.
But heavy,
Maybe prog,
hardcore.
heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Heaviest band was probably Bropos, and we did. Yeah, that was all super heavy. That was just a trio, power
Huh.
guitarist and me and drummer. But we had 18-minute songs, 28-minute songs and shit. But it was very
What?
heavy. Very heavy.
28-minute
Yeah, we had a
songs
song-
of heaviness.
Were they the same every time? Or were
Moon
they-
Pool. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Moon Pool was in E flat, and it was like the full version was like 28 minutes. Something stupid.
Did you play
Impressive.
abbreviated versions live to like
Yeah,
not
yeah,
piss
yeah.
people off?
Yeah, totally.
Whoa. Dude, I want to hear this stuff. That's cool.
That stuff's around somewhere too on cassette. Fostex 4-track.
I have an
recordings.
18-minute song on the internet.
The
So- It's great.
Calypsis Drew. thing?
No, it's a Nilotep song.
Oh, okay.
It's yeah.
So what do you think? How do you feel about songs like that? Like, do you feel it's self-indulgent? I mean, would you make a song that's 18 minutes now? Would you do it differently?
I think there's a place for it, and I think that if I want to be expressing music to more people, it can't be in that format.
Right. There's a reason why songs are like 4 to 5 to 6
Yeah,
minutes.
that's like the attention span of an audio, experience.
And like radio has really pushed that, so it's, it's sort of become the normal.
And you go like on one hand, well, don't ever change your art for them. You do it for you. There's that.
Yeah, there's that, but that doesn't really,
It doesn't
pay
fully
the rent.
work or get you musicians to play with.
And it's a myth. It's a myth.
You can't
No
fully
artist,
do your
no
own
artist
thing.
is truly that. I mean,
'Cause even my stuff,
Yeah.
my solipsis stuff, it's so influenced by
Right.
everything, and it's really narrow. It sounds like I wrote it, but when you hear the other bands, they're like, "Oh, that's cool. Drew made that good," but
Yeah.
by myself, it's thinner.
It's true. It's like when I listen to stuff I've recorded where it's just all me and stuff, you really are confronted with how just fundamentally limited I am. Just, there are like parameters.
Well, maybe Tim
my
is
brain.
extra special because that Joomla song was really badass, and he did it all by himself.
Yeah.
So maybe you have like special powers in this way.
I feel like I run up against the same things though, and like I wish I had someone, knew someone who could do something like this,
XYZ or
play the bass on it.
like these Brazilian rhythms or something like.
Right, I just don't have those kinds of skills,
Yeah.
or like just rip a solo on the violin or the cello. I wish I could. I did play the cello briefly when I was at school. I played in the orchestra.
Nice.
It was kind of a stretch for me, being one semester into lessons and jumping in the orchestra. But they didn't have any other cellists, so they were fine with anything that
So
I did.
you were in the orchestra?
I was in the orchestra. I wish that I had still owned one, or
Yeah.
I didn't own one at the time. I just borrowed one. So I wish I could borrow one again and get better at it. That would be cool. But
That would be cool.
there's only so many lifetimes we can live, right?
Hmm.
Well, if it's a simulation, then no. But yes.
Point.
Yeah, my high school band, they didn't have trombone players, so I played trombone. It was terrible, but again, they didn't have anyone else, so it was like
Trombone?
Easy
and it was
in.
terrible.
Like a
terrible.
Riker,
What a
huh?
terrible instrument. Yeah, yeah. It's like a fretless horn
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's a sliding thing, so you have to memorize where the notes are perfectly.
I have a friend who's excellent at the trombone.
Man, it's so hard. It was
It's
so
really
fucking
hard.
hard.
Hmm.
Yeah. Maybe if you've taken lessons your whole life and stuff, but it was just
Yeah.
different world.
It's just
Yeah. And
Herp.
just getting your mouth muscles really strong. Just yeah.
yeah.
It's like, man, give me some punk rock.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be good at that. It's like your mouth is but on guitar, it's
It's true.
all right.
But I feel like I still run up against barriers.
Yeah, that's why you want
And-
musicians.
And that's why I've spent so many hours alone with a pair of headphones on trying to make music.
Yeah.
I have
Right.
spent years of my life with headphones in a dark room trying to make music.
Yeah, it's true. I think we all have. Like,
Uh-huh.
literally, if you just put the hours together, it is like probably a year, a couple years.
Just a dark
And-
and crushing.
I would say though that's one of the ways that I've improved the most at singing, because I've listened back to some of the recordings when I was first singing and playing. Oof, rough, not a good time. And I was forced to do it though because no one else
Right.
could
By
carry a
by
melody.
default, again.
By default. So, but I feel like I'm actually starting to come into my own. I've taken a few lessons singing in a classical sense, which kind of
Mhm.
helps in some ways with any singing that you do. But yeah, being alone and having to listen to your own,
Right.
all the things about your voice that you never
Yeah.
knew before.
Well, at least
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can do it that way. And then instead of like go, hey, okay, I'm ready to join the band now. And then everyone's like,
I have an
"Ooh.
8-octave range.
Hello, I'm here to take. Do you believe in life after love? You know,
I've found personally that a lot of getting better at music is like just pretending to be better.
I think that's
For
a
me,
big
that
one.
was like that was singing. I'm not a good singer, but like
well,
I just figured out like
I like
I
your
can
voice.
just like I can just like pretend that I know what the notes are.
If you
Yeah.
believe in
You know,
yourself.
And
and-
you'll
and
get
then it was-
closer and closer
And
if
then
you
it was
do
like,
that.
oh, now I can sort of hear that it. Oh, that kind of fits, you know.
Yeah.
Which is weird. It's a weird thing, the human mind. Cause
I was comfortable with my singing voice far before I was comfortable with hearing my talking voice out loud.
Really?
Huh.
It was very uncomfortable for a long time hearing my talking voice.
Did you ever do like language lab in school where you're just your voice is in your headphones and you have to repeat words?
No, I never
Okay.
did that.
I'm
Huh.
an old man, so we had to do that in high school. And
Well,
yeah, I remember it just being like, man, I hate hearing my voice through the
it's
language
rough
lab.
because it's not what you think it is.
right.
Yeah.
Sounds all nasally and pinched.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh. Isn't that
Sound
lame?
much deeper to yourself.
That's so
Right.
lame.
But there's that Dunning-Kruger effect. You're never as good or as bad as you're never accurate about your performance. You think it's great, probably wasn't that great, or maybe it was better than great. You think it's bad, it probably wasn't that bad.
Or it could have been worse than you thought.
So you're
So you
not,
can't really
it's
tell.
like you don't know what's good. You got to just keep putting stuff out there.
Yeah, you're not that end of it. You're the put out. You're not, I mean, when you're performing, you don't get to also judge the performance.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can try, but you won't do a good job.
Yeah, that's why I like playing to friends in bands. Like, oh, we've got some songs. We're almost ready. Like we did with the guest speakers here. It's like, oh, okay. People really like song 2. Okay, got it.
Oh, you're right. Like testing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
Yeah.
Testing out the music with a live audience that hasn't heard it.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
Well, I think it's time to hear a word from our sponsor, and then if we have a little bit of time left, we can go over that day's topic.
Okay, let me call up my sponsor.
It's a very quiet sponsor.
Today's episode is brought to you by Final Corp. They have introduced a new product. It's called Downloadable Silence, and we just heard a little bit of it. You can download. I think it's $1 a minute. Download $1 a minute for silence. You can
It's a
listen to
bargain.
silence while you go to sleep. Put on your noise canceling headphones. Lay down in bed. Turn up that silence.
Well, there's also the
Only
noise
$10.
amplifying headphones.
Right, the noise amplifying headphones are very, very popular, and the boyfriend canceling headphones
Ooh.
or girlfriend
Ooh.
canceling headphones. You know, they're yapping away. Put the headphones on, turn it on, good to go.
Yeah. Or the wife amplifying headphones.
Oh, yeah. If
Once
you
you're
can't
at
hear
that
your
point in a
wife enough.
relationship, you've made
Yes.
a pretty big commitment.
Yeah. I want to hear you louder. It's not loud enough.
Yeah,
I just
So-
can't pay attention as well,
so
so
Final
just
Co-
speak up a little
love what you're saying. I want to hear it louder.
Tim, have you know, of course, about Final Corp's fine products. You know about their slogans. You're familiar.
bit.
Well, of course.
Tell me more.
Listeners of the show are familiar with some of Final Corp's finer products, and I mean, I can list them, but I mean, really, a really important one I'd like to talk about is the Mister.
Ah, yes.
The Mister is it's a male attachment. What it does is it clamps on to the end of your penis, and what happens is it turns your urine from a boring old stream into a very exciting mist. And so now you can pee a mist anywhere you want. And
Yep.
with the zipper attachment, there's no muss, no fuss, no detach, no zip, no nothing. You can mist at all times and any times, wherever you are. Think of the time you'd save on the golf course
Yeah.
when you could with the zipper attachment. You could be teeing up for a thing, a little mist, and people are like, oh, what? I can't even. What's that? I have no idea. It's just a mist.
Think of all the time you've missed
Mm.
not using the Mister,
Oh,
right?
right.
Do you ever have comments from users that say, I think I just mistered my pants?
Ooh, that's nice. Well, think about what you
I-
could do at a festival. Next time you're at a festival like Coachella, and the bathroom line is super long.
Burning Man.
And people are misting everywhere. Just mist.
Just missed.
Just mist.
Refreshing.
It's
convenient.
delightful. It's just, it evaporates quickly. Remember, the mister. Brought to you by Final Core.
Hey Mom, what's for dinner?
Well, I was thinking of making some gelled meat casserole.
But we had that for breakfast.
Well, how about a nice big stack of salt pancakes with melted gummy bear sauce?
But we had that for lunch today at school.
Okay, honey, how about a couple of bowls of mayonnaise ice cream?
Cool. All right. Yippee. Can I have the poison ivy flavored ice cream?
You sure can.
And dirt fudge.
Yep.
Oh Mom, food's the best.
Final Corp. It'll be fine.
Final Corp. Downloadable suffering, downloadable silence, 50 years of experience, 50 flavors of mayonnaise. Thank you, Final Corp, for sponsoring the episode. You got a topic?
Yeah. So I want you guys to shake it off. Let's shake it off. Shake it off. Shake it off. We're now gonna bring ourselves down. We're gonna bring our energy down. We're gonna pull it down into the soil, and we're gonna talk about something very important, and that is permaculture.
Huh.
We need to think about this. We need to talk about this. We need more people to think and talk about this.
You define it for me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I know
Permaculture
exactly what it is.
is a creative design process based on whole systems thinking informed by ethics and design principles. And they are featured on this site. This is, I'm on the website, permacultureprinciples.com. So, the principles, they are abounding. Thinking tools that, when used together, allow us to creatively redesign our environment and our behavior in a world of less energy and resources. Let's check out this short video.
So it's a systems.
It's a systems thing. You're right. Yeah. We
Doesn't
were
mean-
going to get an engineer, but we decided not to.
Making too much money on our Patreon to get
Yeah.
an engineer.
Short video. That bee looked like a bunny rabbit. This is pretty funny.
Like the guy on the tricycle. Seeing a lot of permaculturally things, but I'm not seeing a lot of information.
Well, hopefully that's just an intro. Co-originator of the permaculture
The
concept.
design principles are thinking tools that, when used together, allow us to creatively redesign our environment
Australian,
and our
very nice.
behaviour in a world of less energy and resources. I've displayed them in a circle like the numbers on a clock face to aid our memory. This arrangement is also suggestive of a design process, albeit a very loose one,
Or a zodiac.
where we start with principle 1 and move through considering how all 12 principles might apply to a particular issue, problem or opportunity that's the focus of our attention. This process leads us naturally back to principle 1, reminding us that designing often involves many iterations or cycles before we are happy with an outcome. The analogy of the clock can be taken further in thinking of the ethics at the centre of the clock face, informing and underpinning our consideration of each principle. The circle is also evocative of a wheel where the ethics provide the hub and the design
Ethics.
principles are 12 spokes.
Basically, you're trying to
that
be
through their
ethical here.
creative tension keep the wheel balanced and working in harmony. In any design process, it's important to consider all 12 principles together, as they provide different perspectives that restrain and balance one another.
I'm excited for
Without
putting
an
the sun in
intuitive
bottles.
grounding in whole systems thinking, application of one of the design principles can lead to dysfunctional or even unethical decisions and actions. Nevertheless, it is useful and often necessary to focus on one design principle at a time when we explore them, as we have done in this presentation. They each provide a very different perspective on whole systems thinking and design that can be understood at varying levels of depth and application. We can think of each of the
I like the
12
heart between the
principles
two people
as a
there.
door into the
Yeah, what's the
potentially
sunlight bottle?
confusing labyrinth of whole systems thinking. Now, the
There's a
definition
spider,
of
too.
each principle and its separation
Oh, here we go.
from others
Catch and store
reflects
energy.
the origins
Cool.
and ongoing
Okay.
evolution
In a bottle.
of permaculture
Observe and
concepts
interact,
and
obtain a
teaching
yield,
over 30
apply
years
self-regulation,
that's
and
distilled
accept
in this
feedback.
presentation and explained
Seems
in
critically
depth
important
in
and critically
permaculture
boring
principles and
all at
pathways
the same
beyond
time. I don't know how that's
sustainability.
possible.
Now, while nothing is ever the last word, the extraordinary spread of permaculture around the world and the very positive response to this distillation of permaculture design principles from those who are at the front lines of ecological design suggests that these design principles do reflect something of more enduring value. Finally,
Boy, this is a
we
boring
should
video.
remember that the best of ecological design in any field will often be informed by
Do you
a
whitelist
range of
this video?
traditions, concepts and frameworks
I don't know what that means.
that may have developed prior to
Did you watch it? and
or in
approve?
parallel with permaculture concepts and design principles. To
This is
quote
the
another,
co-founder?
systems thinking.
I
and
guess.
Yeah.
The map is not the
That's why
territory.
it's not more
Okay,
popular.
cool. Well,
So
you
is
know,
the boring founder. The other guy's the.
he's the
active
exciting guy.
No, that's cool.
The Australian accent helps.
It does help.
It does help,
Make
but-
it more engaging. So what's the deal?
more
It's like a way
fireworks.
to be ethically grow food and.
Well, the way I'm trying to understand it is like
Yeah.
I learn a lot of things through people I follow on YouTube. Like Justin Rhodes, this is a different guy. He's a film director. That's not who I'm thinking. But, you know, basically like if you're basically trying to always find ways to reduce waste and increase yield while being ethical, and there's like automation and tools are encouraged and important, but
So it's incremental improvements on
Yeah.
what we're already doing in terms of farming and.
except for you're doing like regenerative farming. The idea is to is to heal the soil as you're doing it.
Oh, I see.
So you're not dumping thousands of pounds of poison from an airplane onto crops.
Right. That wouldn't be that.
Got it.
So it's basically like
No chemtrails.
finding ways to build soil and to use systems you have and to make it economically viable as well. So it could lead to you selling things, or it could lead to saving lots of money. That's part of it too.
Yeah.
So it's
a nice
supposed to
part.
be connected in that way. And so, like, I actually have a garden update, which I think
Cool.
maybe now is the time for. Let's
Yeah, why
check
don't you
out.
hit me with a garden
Let's see it.
update?
You guys can't hear this. Enjoy at home.
I hear it.
Whoa.
Garden update.
Garden. Time for a garden update. This week, we built a chicken coop. Look at this beautiful thing. It's 4x8. We got 5 birds in it. They got their little roost, and they've got a lay box, but they keep pooping in it. So I built a second lay box right there, and I'm going to mount that right down here. Yeah. Here they are. Here's the chickies. Say hello. Hey. Cool. Also, we made a few starts. These are That's a kale we got, and some leeks we ate and stuck in the dirt. Cool. And that's the garden update. And we need the volume to work. So that's my chicken coop. I built a chicken coop.
Cool.
So a 4x8 chicken coop on Craigslist right now. You can't find one really under like $800. New, good looking.
Wow.
Like new, good looking 4x8. We built that one for about $80. It's mostly made out of pallets I got for free.
And it's mostly good looking.
It's mostly good look. It's pretty good looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad. The lay box.
It's not an eyesore.
They're pooping in the lay box. So I think I'm going to put a lower lay box so they can go in there and lay.
Yeah, you don't want that.
But
the
figure
idea
out what
is-
they naturally want to do,
Right.
and then work
We
on
all
that.
yeah, they're not going to try to change a chicken. No, don't poop there. I'll force you. It's like, no, you just adapt.
Just look in their eyes. Man.
So we might
That's why they
close.
generally just
We
keep
might
them
close down
really
lay box number
crowded.
1. Just
Yeah.
close it down so they stop pooping there. Or I was thinking, check this. Take the floor out, put in chicken wire. They still go there and chill, but their poop falls in the ground.
Smart.
Huh?
ground, or like a tray that you can pull out or something.
You could do a tray, but I would go straight to dirt and then I
Straight
would
to
cover
dirt.
it with wood chips. I've done
So you'd move the-
hours of like comparing systems and the Joel Osteen and the like Justin Rhodes and the Canadian guy and the guy in the south. It's like there's so many heroes online spouting, and there's books and seminars, and you can go, and there's huge communities. Like he just did this Great American Farm Tour. We went to all 50 states and saw a bunch of different permaculture farms, and he met the farmers and did all, how's you do this, how's this work, let me see, and I watched all of it. It was fucking incredible. I really advocate, those of you interested in permaculture, watch the Great American Farm Tour on YouTube with Justin Rhodes.
Okay.
And he's just delightful. His kids are adorable. So he has 4 gosh dang kids. And he's married. And they went in a bus that was converted with 4 kids to every state,
Wow.
including
Very
Hawaii
impressive.
and Alaska.
Wow. In the bus? How'd
The
they-
bus didn't go to Hawaii
I was gonna
or
say,
Alaska,
ferry
but
it
they
over there.
flew there. But they took the bus to the flat 48.
Okay.
So let's talk quickly about the alternative to permaculture. So right now, the standard is
Thank you.
to cram as many, chickens together as possible. For example, to have one crop in an area and try to use it for as many things as possible, even though it's not really for those things, just because it's cheap to grow right now. So
Like chicken, just like in
corn, for example,
corn, for
It's
example,
used
or like
in
torture
everything.
chambers for chicken.
or
you know.
torture chambers for chickens.
Yeah, you
So
don't want
it-
to torture them.
It really, it's all this work.
Yeah.
There's so much waste. It's really susceptible to diseases and to pests. And when you put, a major proportion of the world's food supply in one area, it's really not how it was meant to be, and it's really susceptible to having a massive famine. It's really what we're looking at, and so it needs to be pumped with chemicals and antibiotics if it's an animal, because it's so susceptible to diseases, and it's so critical that those things continue. So we've created all these things around making food that don't need to be there, that make it so much harder, more expensive, and more destructive. So what's the alternative?
Well, permaculture is a name for a larger idea. There are other names for the similar things. It's a good anchor point to describe, like people getting together, there being community, you basically understanding that soil is the most important thing. And that from there, if you have healthy soil, you can basically do anything you want. And there's lots of ways to make soil healthy, and there's lots of ways to do it with very little or no work at all.
Yeah.
Like, for example, my chicken system is movable.
Right.
So it's one system.
You don't need the tray under the chicken wire because you just move the coop.
Yeah. So what we do is you have it in a spot that's 4x8 now, and we have a whole section that we're going to go on our south-facing hill. And we're going to move it over a little walkway we're going to make, and then set it in the next little section and leave them there for a while. Cover the first with wood chips, and then plant in there, in the dirt.
Right.
Brilliant.
And then the plants are gonna go, whoa, out of the ground. And then when those are going crazy, we're gonna move the chickens,
Right.
and then plant right there, and continue
So
the whole yard.
The chicken coop is like the movable fertilizer.
That's what happens.
Zone.
The goal is by the time the first bed we've harvested, we put the chicken coop back on there, and they eat all the scraps, and they love that.
So it's a cycle that doesn't.
We're trying to make the
doesn't
backyard a
erode the soil,
useful cycle where we get eggs out of the deal.
doesn't poison anything, and there are things being used together that benefit every other thing that's there.
Yeah, and they eat all the bugs. They basically their poop burns lots of stuff that would not that would just live otherwise, and then they dig and scratch and mix the mulch, and there's hay and chips. It's like they do so much work that you would otherwise have to do. And then you just move them, and they're like, "Oh, cool, new dirt, right on. Dig, 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 scratch, scratch,
Yeah.
scratch, bugs, bugs, bugs."
Yeah.
Is that what
Pumped.
they eat? Bugs? They eat
Dude,
bugs a lot?
what they would ever, man.
Yeah.
Another
Yep.
example that I've heard of permaculture, and it's an old example. When I was a child, I was very excited by anything that had to do with Native Americans. I read books. I just wanted to know everything about it. And so I took a class one time where I went to this conservation park, and I had a class on Native American foods. And so we sat around a fire and made fun stuff for like a week. I was very excited by it.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of restaurants that are Native American
Besides Burning Man,
cuisine, right?
Yeah.
that's the
It's
only
not-
place
not
you
an
see
easy
it.
thing.
Never.
Yeah, why
never
isn't it
even thought of
Oakland?
that?
Why isn't there like
With all the
In
shit
Oakland,
in
yeah.
Berkeley and Oakland,
maybe
you
there
got
is and we just don't know about it?
Ethiopian, Tagalog,
Not a lot.
cuisine.
This is true. There's everything else. But
What
it
is the
it was
cuisine
tasty.
like?
Well, we made like corn pancakes.
Turkey,
We made,
cranberry sauce,
Did you have
everything
turkey?
in Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, just
Yeah, it's
just like that,
Thanksgiving.
exactly.
Every
the same.
day.
And those corn pancakes.
There were some
That
native,
sounds good.
native berries that we did some foraging, but it was a berry I'd never seen before. A little red berry that looks like a little poisonous berry, but it has little white dots on it. It's the ones your mom tells you never to eat. We ate those berries.
I know those
and,
Wow.
they were very tasty.
And they just look like you're gonna die.
No, they don't look like you're gonna die, but it's like your mom is like, okay, like you can eat a strawberry if you find
Right.
it. You can eat a blackberry, but don't touch the funky red berries that are on all these bushes.
Don't eat the
And,
crab apples.
I'm not suggesting anyone go out and just start eating red berries off of any bush you find, because there
Yeah.
are poisonous berries. But these particular ones weren't, and I had never heard of them before, and they were quite good.
How many, did
So
you
it's-
like eat a meal like that way?
It was like we made it was not like we made a meal. We just made some things. We
Okay.
learned about
Corn
fire.
pancakes. And
Yeah, corn pancakes. We
Berries.
made popped corn, but not with dried kernels, because they didn't dry the kernels at the time, apparently. So
You just use wet corn and
wet
boiled
corn, put it on a really hot slate. I think it was like a trying to think of the name.
like
of
the whole
stone.
corn stalk.
Not limestone. Like what's it called? There's an L stone, limestone. I think that's it.
it. We'll go with that.
We'll go with
Sure.
that. And so anyway,
Lemon
it
stone?
conducted the heat really easily with the fire.
Yeah.
And you put it on top, and it popped, but not as big like as a kernel of popcorn, but it expanded and was all roasty and tasty. It was pretty good. We also made hemlock tea, which I thought hemlock was poisonous. But
Yeah, this all sounds like just like
but I learned so many things. But to get to my point
Wow.
here,
Cool.
it tasted the hemlock tea tasted like maybe it was sassafras.
Tasted like
I'm thinking
Socrates'
of the wrong
death.
thing. But it tasted
Tim,
like
are you
root beer.
lying
It
to
was
our
pretty good.
audience? You can't do
I
that.
could be, I could
they
be.
are loyal.
These are memories from way back. That's what I'm talking about here. But the point that I'm making is that, and probably a lot of other people know this from other sources, but one amazing thing to do is to grow corn not on its own, not in massive quantities where it just decimates the soil, but to grow it with beans and squash, so that the beans have a place to grow. The corn holds up the other things. It grows
Smart.
squash, replaces the soil. The beans put nitrogen back in the soil. and they all work
Wow.
together in harmony,
See,
so that you're ready to plant the next year,
Yeah,
and you don't
harmony.
create a dust bowl effect. You know,
Native Americans and that harmony idea. Right.
get out of here. I need
it's like
profit.
they were paying attention to what was happening in their environment.
It's like, what do you think
instead
the
of just doing
soil
what they
is?
wanted.
Like, what do you think it is?
Yeah.
Like a joke?
I mean, the
Just
benefit
poop
of
on it?
the benefit of growing tons of corn in a field is that you can have baseball players walk into it and disappear. if
Yeah,
you're-
you
That
have to
is
have
helpful.
that.
if you're
Yeah.
Kevin Costner.
Yeah, if there's beans, it just ruins
Yeah.
the effect.
If you bean it, they will come.
If you yeah. Okay, cool. Wow.
That is cool.
So, permaculture. Oh, and then another
Permaculture.
thing is putting
Yeah.
fish in the ground.
Yeah, as fertilizer.
Yeah.
Huh.
So you do that with the beans and the squash,
And it
the
goes
corn.
boom.
It goes
Wow.
boom and benefits every side of the growing process.
I mean, the Earth is basically one giant compost heap,
It is.
It's mostly poop.
and it's all and
It
it's all-
is.
All the energy is from the sun.
On the
We
surface,
talked about
anyway.
that.
I mean,
Yeah, we had a
What
fire
we
last
see.
night. We were enjoying the heat, and we were talking about all of that energy is from the sun. We're like looking at a little bit of the sun.
years of the sun
Yeah.
beating down on this tree. This photosynthesis
Yeah.
growing the limbs bigger and bigger so that they would
Packing
die.
all that
and we
energy into the wood,
could burn
getting
it back
into
up
the
into
size.
atmosphere and pollute that.
and then
Oh.
drying
And
it
we-
out.
And then drying it out, and we burn it. It's
Yeah.
packed with energy, super dense.
It's like the
And
sun.
we live, die, go about our lives, live them, die, return to the soil, give back energy and nutrients, and it continues again
Hell yeah.
from now
Permaculture.
until the end of
Permaculture.
time.
So if you could permaculture your backyard, what would you do? So you
Well-
had resources to do it.
Yes, and I could split myself in half and just have a full-time
Totally.
job. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I've also heard about having fish at the bottom and having like growing
Oh,
things up and up.
aquaponics is a topic I've done a lot of research
I would
on,
love to do that.
and I haven't done it myself, but I could set it up now. I know how to do it.
Wow, yeah, that'd be cool.
One thing that we have talked about and haven't done yet, I'm sort of the assistant in the yard at the moment. We grew some pretty amazing tomatoes this past year, so many that we could barely keep up.
God, it's always
There's
so easy to
pounds and
grow
pounds.
tomatoes,
Yeah.
but it's so
They
hard to
just
eat
fall
all the
out of
ones
the
that you
ground.
grow.
Yeah.
Ah. You
So
gotta
many
give 'em
times I
away or
see
make
tomato
stew.
plants.
Yeah.
Have
They
more
just lie fallow.
tomato
yeah.
sauce.
The Safeway on our bike trip, in that like redwood, like weird plants. They aren't real. They look plastic. There was a tomato in between them, and it was alive. And there was a bunch of green ones and a few red ones. And I picked a red one, and I was like, "This probably is filled with poison."
Yeah.
And I peeled it open
It's
with my
like garbage
finger.
truck exhaust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I peeled it open with my finger, and I smelled it, and I tasted it, and I was like, "It doesn't taste like much."
Poison.
Yeah.
But I didn't eat it.
There's so much water.
But it's
in
not going
a
to kill me
tomato.
by just tasting it, you know.
No.
So I tasted it, and it was like, it wasn't much, but like that tomato was like, "I'm here." Ugh. And
It
you
made
know,
quite an effort.
there are Russian tomato plants that live a few years, like 3, maybe more. Like Evan has one. It was producing fruit 3 years. Like it didn't die.
Wow.
So that's happening too.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Isn't one of the
Permaculture.
longest living organisms like an aspen grove or something? Where it's just one organism, but it's multiple
Oh,
trees,
yeah.
but it's just one, basically one organism.
Yes. I've heard of that.
And it just is kind of immortal unless you burn it down.
We
or
could burn
bomb
it all down,
bomb
and,
it
or,
or
like
something.
Sell it to North Korea or something. That would be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a heinous. I just was.
You
What's
know?
a heinous thing to do to such a beautiful creature?
North Korea. I don't know. What do you think's going to happen there?
I think
Dennis
it's-
Rodman.
What are they going to do with it?
What's
Dennis Rodman's trying to get his friend Kim Jong Un and Donald Trump to talk to each other.
Hopefully.
Did you know that Dennis Rodman's like?
I knew he was friends. I was hoping he would try to get a chat going.
Yeah, it's
That's
I don't
good
know
to
who that
hear.
is.
It's hilarious. It's like, what a weird. I mean, we got to be in a simulation.
Dude, Dennis Rodman
We
is
have
the,
to be
is
in a
the
simulation.
ambassador to
Think
North
about-
Korea. Are
think-
you kidding me?
A flamboyant ex NBA star is now
Bisexual.
an bisexual ambassador to a potentially belligerent country,
Mhm.
while we have a reality star slash real estate mogul in the White House. I mean,
You can't make that
the
up.
simulation is broken, man. It's not convincing. I'm not convinced this is real life.
This is the
has to be
Matrix.
fake.
Dude, this is the Matrix. We live in the Matrix, and that's weird. I don't want to live in the Matrix. I want to live in the woods.
But you can go bike camping. You can still go bike camping.
So we
in the
go bike
in the
camping.
Matrix.
Yeah.
You can still do it in the Matrix.
And it's funny, the simulation works,
Maybe
Seems
this
to
is
work.
maybe this is like our elementary school of learning, and we're starting to see like, oh, the simulation's breaking, but
Yeah.
still
I
have
like
lessons
that.
to
Maybe
learn.
we're
And then-
about to gain a level. Maybe
Yeah.
we get to go to like
Level up.
middle school next.
Yeah.
Huh?
And then and when you die, someone's there like, yeah. So what did you think about that simulation? Like, can you give us some feedback?
What was up with Donald Trump?
What was
Yeah.
what was that like? High school. What was that like?
Oh my god.
America.
How did that experiment
How can we
work?
improve the simulation for the next 1,000 generations?
Yeah. And so the kids we have were just born directly into the simulation. Is that nice?
What do you think real life is like?
It's probably simpler.
Probably Star Trek.
Yeah. It's probably
Once
simpler.
you finish, you're like, now you're ready. Now you know.
You can live in Star Trek TNG. That'd be cool. I'd want to discover new people and stuff. That'd be awesome.
Q is the simulation to real life.
Yeah.
'Cause Q can just manipulate reality as willy-nilly.
He's like the gatekeeper or some kind of, he was magical. He was a god, which
Yeah.
a god animal sort of.
What's your favorite Q
Animal
episode?
God.
You guys know TNG that well?
I'm a huge
Is that a
I've been watching just because this guy's really into it.
okay? Do you have any
I used to
favorite?
watch it as a kid a little bit too.
Cool. Any favorite Q episodes or?
I remember
I like
two
when he
episodes.
loses his power and he has to be on the ship and he's like trying and the only person he connects with is like Worf for some reason.
Right.
After he calls him like eat any books, eat any good books
Eat
lately.
any good books lately?
And he's like, my
Yeah,
teeth are weird.
He can't be as arrogant anymore because he doesn't have
And
any
he
powers
was
to back it
tired
up.
and
You gotta
hungry.
be nice now.
Yeah,
And
and
then-
he appears in there and he's like naked and he's like red alert.
and he's like, and then he goes on the ship. So there's this thing attacking the ship, and he's on the ship, and they're pissed at him.
Right, he's willing
they
to
know he's
sacrifice
human.
himself.
And he goes out there and he gets in the way, and he's like, "Dude, they're not after you. Just let them kill me,
Right.
and they'll leave you alone. I can't let them destroy the ship."
Yeah.
And so he actually does a selfless thing, and they give him his powers back.
Right. It's
And I was
almost
like,
the,
that was a little easy.
the others in the Q continuum were like, you're doing a selfless act, not motivated by any. There's no ulterior motive there.
Right.
And then like, okay, now you get your powers back. You
Does
can
that
be,
remind
you can
you-
be a total rascal asshole again.
Does that remind you slightly of like our class divide? Like the people who have just so much money in our world are kind of like that. They don't have to really live by our laws.
They don't.
or-
It's a different life.
Yeah.
Like Kevin Hart
Take
has
away your
talked about
powers.
that.
Now you're like a normal human being.
Yeah.
You can't buy 5 Teslas.
Have you guys heard Kevin Hart's talking about this?
No.
Where he talks about as much as he can, the most I've heard about being really wealthy and then being around people who are really wealthy, and he's like, it's millionaire shit is a different life.
Mm.
It's not the same thing. You guys don't know what it is. It's a different life.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And that, to me, I think answers a lot of questions, even though it's pretty vague. That if one is that much wealthier than the other people, you don't think about the things that we think about.
Yeah. How sad would that be, though? I'm not envious of those people.
No. But I would like to not think about money.
Agreed.
I would rather just not have it in my life, or like it only comes up when it needs to.
Mm.
I'd rather operate without it as much as possible.
Yeah.
That's just my own
Agreed.
thing.
Sure does some evil things to some people, though.
So we didn't get to
Without.
ask you. Your backyard, the topic of permaculture.
Right.
What would you do? Would you want to do like a grid chicken system too, or would you skip the animals and just put stuff in the dirt, or how would you want to get off the grid as much as you can with food?
I love eggs.
Mhm.
I could eat them all the time. I could probably go for some chickens.
You would
Again,
do
given
chickens?
that I have the time to do it, I'd be into chickens. And the interesting thing about West Oakland is that the soil is absolute poison in most places.
Yeah.
It's full of lead. Given all the
Ah.
highways around, it's highly polluted.
Have you tested your backyard?
We have not.
Maybe
So
you
any real growing that you do back there needs to be in garden beds, raised beds with brand new soil. So it can be a little pricey to replace all the soil in your whole backyard.
Yeah, that's like prohibitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that would probably have a big part of it. A lot of raised beds, I'm sure. Having chickens would be pretty swell.
Well, a lot of people advocate starting with chickens
Mm.
because they start to amend the soil and they produce eggs immediately. And
Would that help with lead?
I don't know.
Mm.
I'm sure there's some fungus out there that would help with lead in the soil. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Maybe you could
Gotta be
find a way to
something.
attract that fungus. I don't
Something.
know. It's probably possible. There's spores online. I mean,
Yeah.
and it really is. You need just healthy mushrooms in your soil.
You
That's
do.
kind of the goal.
What about compost toilet? Have you guys thought of that?
Oh, absolutely. It's a great idea. And that if we
Is it feasible here? Like,
yeah, absolutely. If a family of 3 were to compost their poop and turn it into soil, I mean, you could in our space here at Gradient, we'd make more than we could use. Basically, we could be selling.
They get a high output.
Well, if we could build the soil up and we could do that. Maybe we could just it would make the dirt higher up, closer to the concrete patio.
Mm.
You know.
With just poop?
With just
mostly
poop, converted poop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's all soil is.
Right. It's true.
Mhm.
Poop and animal bodies and plant bodies and maybe human
Leaves.
bodies.
Plant and animal
Leaves.
matter.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Minerals.
So yeah, you run around for a while and then you go blah, and then you turn in the dirt, and then something else grows, and then somebody eats that, and then they go blah, and then they fall. It's a whole
Yeah.
compost heap.
So excited to be alive when you say that.
Mm-hmm. So I think there are other words to use besides permaculture that are a thing about taking back control, autonomy in your life. Like not super. You imagine being less dependent on a job or a grocery store.
I wouldn't say no to that for sure.
Then what if it became so that you
The end game is like you're off the grid. You're making your own food.
the
you're
end
not
game
going to
is like
Safeway
you
ever
don't
again.
you don't need to buy poisonous or low nutrition food.
You're brewing your own beer.
Brewing your own beer, you're making your booch, you got a worm farm going, you're feeding the chickens worms, and
You
they're
got-
like, whoa.
You got honeybees. So you can make
Hell
tej.
yeah.
So you make
Yeah.
tej.
I would have multiple racks of
Maple
honeybees. is what I would
trees,
do.
perhaps.
Ooh.
Hell yeah.
Here's my thing though about permaculture and growing in your backyard. We spent a ton of time this past year growing stuff, and we did eat a some of the food that we grew. We also realized halfway through how poisonous the soil was, so started not eating that stuff. But what does it take to have it really be worthwhile financially? Because tomatoes,
Takes
you
an
got
inve-
a ton of tomatoes,
I think it takes
but
years.
you can't survive off of tomatoes.
I think chickens.
What do you need to grow? Chickens. You've got eggs. That's totally
eggs
seems
cuts
viable.
your bill, and you can eat eggs a lot of ways.
But how much does it cost for feed and the house, and how long would it take to make that profitable?
I can tell you, if you spent $80 to build that,
Yeah.
and you bought 5 birds at $12 a piece,
Which is quite a bargain.
and then you bought a 50-pound bag from Costco for $20.
Every
Okay, so-
week.
No,
80 plus
no,
60
week,
plus 20.
No, every 3 months, every quarter maybe.
Okay.
Okay, but the initial outlay was 80 and 60. $140 for the coop and the chickens.
Yeah,
Chicken and coop.
$150.
$150, and then
And then you have to buy feed every couple months.
Every
or
quarter.
Quarter.
Well, then what? Like, okay, now you've got way too many tomatoes and you've got eggs.
no, forget the tomatoes. You just have the chickens,
Okay, you got the chickens.
and you get the
start
eggs
there.
going, and they're in a spot, and then you move them.
And eventually they become more viable.
Who?
They become a money-saving thing.
I think if you're
After-
feeding the scraps
Right,
from
right.
the garden
At what
to
point
the
does
chickens,
it become?
Right.
At what point do you recoup your?
You
costs?
recoup?
Nope.
I think what you do
Pun
is
intended.
that what you're growing from what they've laid down begins to feed them, and there are multiple ways to set that up. So basically, at that point, the eggs are coming out of the ground.
Yeah.
Right. So
That's
you're not
basically
buying
the
anything
point.
from
Yeah.
external.
Right.
anything.
That makes sense.
You're not buying feed
Then-
anymore.
So what are you going to grow in your yard that's going to be a significant money saver? Like something that you could be like, you could
Weed.
grow.
Yeah, I do plan on growing weed. It just I'm a few plants. I'll mix it in. It won't only be that.
$60, $50 to $100 a month savings.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what you spend, but
Well, yeah, something like that. But like, I think there are grasses I would grow to feed the chickens. There are easy grasses to grow that they can eat the shit out of, and they're super seedy, and that's fine. And then when you put them back, they're still there. But I would want to do a lot of green, leafy greens, like different celery, kale, chard, little lettuce, like a lot of green things. So we could just eat the shit out of that.
Yeah.
And then I would do other, like, asparagus, artichoke stuff as well. And then, I mean,
And I
berries.
I love that. And I'm not trying to kill the vibe.
But
I
what
think
do you
it's
got?
awesome. But I also think about, like, how could I, like, actually maybe stop going to the grocery store? Or, like, significantly cut my bill in half because I've grown all this food.
do you remember
I'm
the
thinking, like-
peak of Richmond?
Right.
Yes.
We were we weren't buying lettuce anywhere.
Right. But produce is fairly cheap.
Yeah, but it's also in your
Compared
backyard,
with
so
meat.
you're saving the driving and you're saving the price.
It's so true.
I guess
So-
you figure out what you're spending the most money on, and then how do you grow that yourself?
We're spending the most money on meat
Sure.
and leafy greens.
A cow is a big animal,
Right.
and it has
Takes up
there's
space.
a lot of protein in that meat, and it does not want to give it up easily.
So what
It's
about
going to take a lot of
pig-
energy to take that fucker down.
a pygmy goat?
Sure.
All right.
Pygmy goat back here eating all the weeds and stuff.
Yeah.
We're milking it.
Could you grow enough weeds to sustain a goat?
No, eventually, not immediately.
Yeah.
You have sections. You have goat sections.
What about, like, if you could survive off of your yard for a week? I think that would be pretty cool. I hear having
I see what
greens
you're
and not
saying, yeah.
needing to buy vegetables is, I think, a totally worthy goal.
Well, we could
And I would
get
love
it
to
to
do
like
that.
If
not
you could have a
having to buy
system where you're
vegetables.
just growing everything that you eat, and you never
Yeah.
go. to
Well,
the
not
grocery
meat,
store.
except for meat. We'd buy meat and bread
Right.
and butter. We
Yeah.
just wouldn't buy vegetables anymore.
Right.
Right.
And you could eat a lot of veggies and not eat other stuff. I mean, to a degree.
But
Yeah.
could you buy, like,
Yeah.
rice? Like,
Yeah.
I make enough rice so that I don't have to go to the grocery store because I have eggs, rice, and vegetables growing in my yard. What else would you need? Maybe soy?
Bread.
You could make tempeh with the soy that you
A bread plant.
I would buy bread still.
grow the
Wheat.
wheat.
I
Uh,
couldn't
Fine.
grow
Too
enough.
wheat.
I
Yes,
couldn't grow
too-
enough.
Yeah,
Too-
you need so much,
Too much.
so much space for that.
But yeah, what's like like avocados?
Yeah, we have that. I have
Super-
apples, avocados.
Super good for you.
Pretty
Fruit.
good.
Mhm.
Fruit trees. You got several fruit trees too.
Yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
cool to impregnate that avocado tree. I want to learn how.
Because that's a money maker.
Well, we could. I mean, yeah.
Dollar
yeah.
$50 a piece. At
If
the
we had
grocery
eggs
store.
and avocados on the street right here, that'd
I would
work out.
eat just that.
Yeah. Oh. See,
I've
and
eaten
toast.
a
Hell
lot
yeah,
of those
it'd be
things.
great.
Throw a
for you.
toast in the mix, and
With
then
zero
you're set.
carbs.
Well,
Yep.
without the toast.
Right.
Again,
with
I would
eggs
do
and
rice though.
avocados.
I'm a big rice fan. You grow some good rice. But
You could
again,
live
it's, like,
on greens, eggs, and
incredibly-
rice.
Yeah.
If you're like, man, okay,
Oh, yeah.
money collapsed, government collapsed, life is over. We happen to have 3,000 pounds of rice in Narnia, and we've got unlimited eggs, and the greens are growing like crazy. We could live.
For all you listeners out there, maybe you're tuning in for the first time, Narnia is a massive closet they have under their house.
Yeah.
Just in case that wasn't clear.
Yeah. Thank you. I don't think
Thanks.
that was clear. It's like this big sort of crawl space.
Yeah.
You can
Past the
almost stand
closet.
up,
There
and
are
it's
drums
pretty
in there
huge.
and bikes in there, and oh man, it's huge.
Just a little
There's-
secret room.
There's like magical lions and
Mm-hmm.
witches and
And
wardrobes.
it's like behind our closet, which is
wardrobes.
pretty cool.
silver chairs and
It's totally
It's
Narnia.
aptly named.
ships called the Dawn Treader.
Perhaps on Patreon we'll do a secret members only video of
Ooh.
Narnia.
Oh,
That's
wow.
an
I think
idea.
we might do that. Yeah.
That'll be a big moneymaker.
Cool. Okay, any final words on permaculture, dudes?
I want to say that I'm not saying that it's not worthwhile, even if, and probably the goal of being totally sustained on a small patch of land is like probably not very doable. But being able to cut
It's
off
pretty doable. I have
think-
actually a lot
Except
of
for the
examples
meat.
of it.
All right.
Except for the meat
yeah, that's true.
Actually,
and dairy.
the meat and dairy too. Some
If you have
people,
enough land. Yeah, if you have
Okay.
enough land.
even people with small backyard situations, it's getting pretty efficient.
Cool. I would love to see some
Yeah.
video. Maybe you probably watched
Yeah.
a lot more videos about it than I
I have watched
But
a lot.
just being able to like not, we do a lot of greens in our household, and just having those, not having to buy those anymore or worry about vegetables.
What if you just bought
There's
meat?
zucchinis that were incredible,
Yeah.
but being at a place where it's like I know exactly how to make this zucchini produce, where we had like 4 plants and one of them produced, and we got about 3 zucchinis total that were great, but we got 3 zucchinis out of a lot of work. So getting to the point where
It's cool that they were great, though.
yeah, it is cool that they're great.
Yeah.
So, but being at the point where you could not buy vegetables, even for a season from the store, would be
automate.
really cool.
Like automation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Farm bot.
Yeah, farm
chickens move the chickens, and then farm bot does it, and then move the chickens, then farm bot moves. Come
Something-
on.
Like
you
you
have to
just
be a real expert too.
like
to be able to-
you put it in the one corner of your yard. It assesses what your yard is like, and then it just fucking does its business based on what you have.
done. I love it.
And there's various programs you have. You know, prioritize chickens, prioritize veggies.
Buy 20,000 pounds of soil.
Yeah,
Whoa.
Your soil is contaminated.
yeah. You
Buy
live in Oakland.
Chickens.
You're fucked.
You can fit 10
No
chickens
refund.
on this property.
You could have
Something like that, like Amazon
70 birds in your backyard.
Amazon yard specs.
I'm sure that would be worthwhile.
Somebody
That
that
would be good.
somebody that comes and like
Does it-
assesses what you have and tells you what you could
Does
do.
it have to be Amazon?
Well,
Right.
they have it.
so many other markets.
they do.
Like
There are permaculture
Aubrey
designers
Cloutier
all
is
over.
now assessing backyards for chicken specifications.
Backyard assessor,
The-
Esquire.
They have that. That's all over.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. The whole
It's funny
the
how
whole
most
companies.
you can think of new ideas that you think are new. And it's already there.
Well, it just means you thought of a good idea.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
It's true.
it's crazy how often. I mean, just how many things are already happening.
Yeah.
You know, the
It is crazy.
self-driving city and all that stuff.
Well, there's the guy in Florida who has a company that's growing rapidly where he designs people's land to be permaculturally sound.
Yeah.
And it's going well. And I've seen a bunch of his properties, and it's like, yeah, keep going.
That's pretty cool. I've had the idea, and I did see. It was based on a video that I saw where they made all the plants that they have in these like super tall buildings in the middle of a city, just make them all edible. It's like a ton of wasted space.
Oh yeah.
Cities
Like
are
in all
not-
the atriums and rotundas and
And the median.
Office
you could,
park,
You could grow an incredible
whatever.
amount of food if you used all the roofs in a city, all of the indoor
man.
spaces
Yeah.
that are currently used for other plants. Instead of buying
about
these
that.
plants that have no real purpose, you could
Yeah.
probably make a lot of money converting cities into permacultured
Yeah.
universes of food.
That seems like the future. We can't rebuild cities we already have, but we can
Right.
put bells and whistles and add to them.
Mm.
And then the cities of the future is like what Bill Gates is doing in Arizona with the
Yeah. I want to learn more
self-driving
about that.
cars and blah blah blah. But
I want to learn more about that future city Bill Gates is building in Arizona.
you know, like I look at a
Sounds pretty
city. You
neat.
look at this at the city at night. You look at an office building, and you're like, man, most of these lights are not. No one's in these rooms.
They're all on.
Think about how many
Floors and
emergency
floors.
lights are on in the
yeah.
stairwells, and
Yeah.
just so much wattage being burned.
So much waste all the time.
And
We
no
just-
one's in these office buildings all these hours.
Yeah,
You could be partying in those buildings.
there's just like antennas and like vents on the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For hundreds of years, they've just been on.
Yeah,
Hundreds.
Well, 100 perhaps.
There's some commotion out there.
yeah. It sounds like a chicken. Probably heard a chicken.
Probably do hear
There's
a
several
chicken.
dogs.
Cool. Well, that
Anyway.
seems like a good stopping point. What do you
I think so. I think we just won. I think that's the best. All right.
Very nice episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim, for joining us.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Drew, for hosting.
Thanks
Absolutely.
for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Yeah. You can see us on YouTube, live streamed weekends. Empathy and Imagination. You can check us out on empathyandimagination.com, or you can go to Patreon/empathy and imagination. Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Bye.
Getting jiggy with it.
Oh, wow. That's an old phrase.